Welcome to the Northeast Kingdom Voice. I'm your host, Scott Wheeler. Today's guest is no stranger to the show, but this time she is here to bid the world farewell. Our guest is Darcie McCann, the now former executive director of the Northeast Kingdom Chamber of Commerce. Welcome to the show, Darcie.
Hey, and good morning to you.
Yeah. Good morning from my neck of the world. I am courtesy of the worldwide internet technology.
Truly the World Wide Web.
Yep, and we are recording. Well, I'm recording from Bacolod in the Philippines, and you are in what is it, Lyndonville or St. Johnsbury?
Linden.
Okay.
In my office. My dog is in the background.
So you were on a few weeks ago. You were talking about a whole lot of things about what was going on with the chamber, including the eclipse, planning for it. And you also, I guess you did more than hint. You actually told that you were going to be stepping down after 29 years from the role of the executive director of the chamber, and you are now retired from that position.
It's true. I'm officially retired. Laura Lee Tester took over on April 19th, the day after our annual meeting, and I wish her well.
Right. And then your last annual meeting had one, I consider him one of the most stand-up men that I know, or stand-up people, speaking at the annual meeting, and I think probably having words of praise for you, Governor Douglas. Former Governor Douglas.
You know, whether you're Republican or Democrat, it doesn't matter where you have an R&D, after your name. Everybody respected and really liked Jim Douglas, and it was kind of a no-brainer having him come. He served 4 terms and was there for a lot of my time at the chamber, and we just thought, I've really come to respect him, and he's a very funny, also very smart man, got an unbelievable memory, and we just had to have him there to bid me goodbye.
Yeah, my time, I had 2 choices: be at the dentist, and make sure my teeth don't fall out, or be at the annual meeting. And I hate to say it, but I chose to keep my teeth in my head. So there was that bit of a conflict, but I did get to join you the following day with a small, more cozy group of members of the chamber for a very nice meal at
Goodbye luncheon.
What's
it
that?
was 98 Mill, one of our members, located down in St. Johnsbury.
Very, very good meal. Honestly, I'd never even heard of the place.
Yeah, Kevin Fontacha runs the Moose Look Diner. He does 98 Mill, and he's also taking over the building for Natural Provisions. So very much creating an institution in the region by those 3 important businesses.
Well, you know what? As we already talked about this, you're a writer by profession, a journalist. Sounds like that might be a great profile person for. There's a publication called Vermont's Northland Journal. I think you're.
Do I know that? Have I heard of that?
That might make for a great profile.
Yeah, well, I do remember at that luncheon when I said I would be continuing doing my column in a different name and format somewhat, and doing some profiles for the Caledonian Record. Someone piped up and said something.
Right. No, that sounds like a great, because you know what is.
No, I wouldn't forget you, Scott. I'd love to do some profiles for your wonderful journal.
You are fully aware in your position and in you being a native of the region is while a lot of times people think nothing. People don't realize some of the stories that are here, and success stories such as the owner of these businesses, and I think those stories really need to be told because sometimes the struggles of living in the Northeast Kingdom sometimes overpower all the good and all the
Yeah.
good stories.
Yeah, I agree with you. There tends to be, we have a little bit of a complex, don't believe in ourselves, and inferiority complex, if you want to call it that. And I think one of the things I'd like to do with those profiles as I continue going forward in retirement, and I'm really excited to be writing more, is to capture the lives of these unsung heroes. There's a lot of people that, do their jobs wonderfully and have great customer service and um, just really, really are the best of the kingdom. And we need to feature more of those people.
And oftentimes, some of those people you might not even know. Like a lot of people who are really doing great things, they just are in. They're doing what they do. They're doing what they love, but they don't do self promotion. They're just out
Right.
there doing it. So 29 years. That's a long time. I believe you are the when you're retired, you were the longest serving executive director of a Vermont chamber at that time. Do you know if anybody has ever surpassed 29 years?
Yeah, there's been a couple. George Malik from the Central Vermont Chamber. He was up in his 30s. I think he was there for 35, 36 years.
Right.
He sadly passed away a couple of years ago. And Linda Stearns from the Addison County Chamber, both who were mentors of mine. But it's kind of rare to get up into the 20s. I feel very honored to have served in that stead and represented my region and my state by being the longest serving director when I left.
Um, and I think you though served underneath some uh, extreme times and very evolutionary times where I think some chambers lost their way or lost their drive. Like not only did you and your crew have to kind of like reinvent yourself through the COVID pandemic, which in which businesses were locked down, people couldn't travel, uh, and probably lost some businesses. But you also were a leader during a time where I believe volunteerism has changed a bit. And you rely a lot on the chamber, especially its events, rely a lot on volunteerism. So I think while you may have not been the top, you may have not served the longest out of anybody. You certainly served during some change in times.
Well, I think my role as a newspaper editor maybe have kind of prepared me for some of the trials and tribulations I would face as a chamber director. Because my goodness, looking back at some of the things that have happened, a couple recessions, we had a flood, we had a pandemic, we had private tragedies that I've experienced, numerous things that you just can't believe would happen. And yet the chamber still persevered. And we did so because of our board members, our members, and the region. It's the chamber that could. Well, other even bigger chambers were closing their doors after the pandemic. We had to struggle, but we came out the other side strong. And I think under Lauralee, I started working on a new database and a website, and she's going to bring that home and really design a wonderful site for the chamber. That there's a lot of positive things that are going to go on in the future.
As you know, I'm writing an article about your career in the chamber, and one of the first things you had to do was try to convince the board about this pass and fad called the internet and web technology. You had to convince them that, hey, we really need a website. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it really was kind of funny, because when I was starting to hear things about a website, and yes, it was being seen as a fad, and just the internet in general is not going to last. And I can remember, telling my board, we really need to get a website, and they had not a clue what that was, and I had to kind of explain them and kind of convince them. And that was back in the mid to late 90s, and then we've had 5 or 6 different websites since then. You talk about, every couple of years, you've got to kind of look at what you're doing and figure out if you have to make changes or do some of the things you're doing, refresh what you're doing as a chamber, refresh the website. It's an important element of being a chamber of commerce, of never standing still and accepting what you're doing now is the right way going forward. You got to keep on going.
Right.
Always be relevant.
Has that changed? Like the amount of phone calls coming into your office? To me, your website might actually reduce the number of calls coming in and mail-ins you're sending out, because people can find what they need. But what did it do for, say, traffic in your office, phone traffic, mail traffic? Did it boost it or reduce it?
It reduced it, but for the good, because as you said, they were able to go, 3:00 in Germany and look onto our website while I'm sleeping. And that was revolutionary, and still is amazing to me at this time, that, we can be reaching out to people and providing a service through how extensive the website is. And but we are a unique chamber. Still calling it and I'll do that for a long time. But the Northeast Kingdom Chambers is a unique chamber, is that it's 50% hospitality and 50% service. So a lot of the hospitality end was being handled by the website and the Facebook pages that we do. But the service sector, the workforce development aspect of people facing obstacles and hazards and just troubles that would come down their way, we really took a lot more aggressive approach of helping people remove obstacles that stood in the way in their success. We established the Business Assistance Center back in 2021 and really beefed up what we'd done in the past. And we've been able to help hundreds of businesses since then through the Business Assistance Center, whether they're chamber members or not, helping with consumer complaints and whatnot. So while the people calling or emailing us regarding tourism decreased because the website was serving that need, the service sector really exponentially increased as well, serving that need.
And as with the technology, you could now attend. I don't know if I assume you did it. Were you able to attend meetings that you might not otherwise have been able to or afford to, like attend meetings in other states and or other countries by this technology, which allows us to basically span the globe?
Yeah, Zoom, I used to be honest, during the pandemic, I came to kind of hate it at first, and then I've really appreciated what it allows you to do and allows you to reach out to so many more people, organizations, save time. Look what we're doing today. You're off in the Philippines, and I'm here in the Northeast Kingdom, and we're able to use this. I remember when I was at Linden State College, the email technology was just taking off, and I had to get in touch with someone down at the South Pole, and I had to send an email out to them. And I remember thinking, this is amazing. I'm still amazed to this day. But I wrote the email, sent it, went all the way down to McMurdo, down at the South Pole, this scientist who was a Linden State College alum, and I had a response back within 5 minutes. That's technology. And to this day, that was like back in 1994 or so, beginning of 95. And to this day, 30 years later, it still astounds me that technology can be such a boon. It can be such a help.
Oh yeah. A lot of people look at technology, because you do see people walking around with their cell phones glued to their ears. And you know what? Even over here in the Philippines, even the poorest sections of the Philippines, and I will tell you, most Americans do not understand true poverty until they've explored bits and pieces of a third world country. But even there, you see people walking down the road with their phones to their ears. So a lot of times we look at technology as like this is too much. But in reality, it really has helped shape our lives in a very good way too.
Yeah, my son spent some time in the Philippines and was really impressed with the people and the culture. And he also was deployed to Afghanistan when he was in the Marines. And I think we take a lot of what we have in this country for granted. There was when Kieran came back, my son, and we had his welcome home party. Little boy asked what kind of toys kids play in Afghanistan, and my son responded, "They don't have toys. They play baseball with literally sticks and rocks. They don't have anything." And we are so fortunate as a nation. And you're right. We're just so fortunate.
This is a question I haven't asked you. I didn't ask you for the article. It just came up. Is since you've been in the chamber for almost 30 years, and you are a native, but in the last 30 years, have you seen the Northeast Kingdom devolve, or what have you seen? What is any trend that you've seen in the kingdom?
One of the aspects that I think is really positive is when I first got here, I spoke about the inferiority complex, is that the rest of the state would kind of look down at us as being backwards. And that really bothered me. We have some of the best businesses and artists and some of the best culture here in the Northeast Kingdom, not to mention some of the most beautiful landscape. And the rest of the state looked down at us as if we're, back in the 1800s, all back roads and whatnot. And I've seen that change for the better. And I think that's absolutely wonderful. I've seen an increase in obviously recreation that people are looking at as a real destination, whether it's Jay Peak and Burke, but also Lamoille Valley Rail Trail, Kingdom Trails, our lakes and our streams. It's a unique experience up here in the Northeast Kingdom. And literally, it's one of the most beautiful places in the world. Certainly, any number of publications have said the same. And so I've seen those changes, is that I think we're getting our due.
Yeah, I believe so. And then rumor is the eclipse was God's nod to you for your service to the region. So he turned off the lights for 3 days, but he attracted tens of thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of people to the kingdom to pay homage to you. The kingdom brought it. With that being said, we all know the reason now that the eclipse happened. It was for you, but that was a big showcase for you in the kingdom.
Yeah, I can't go with the reason why it happened, but I love your sense of humor. But it really was an economic boon to the whole entire state as well as the Northeast Kingdom. I was able to be in my back deck and see this amazing spectacle happen. And I actually had I was on a video call with one of my best friends out in New Mexico because she wanted to see it. And again, you talk about technology, and it just was so cool. And it's amazing how many people drove uh, hundreds of miles, many hours for 2 minutes and 32 seconds of darkness. It was really a spectacle, and it was really cool.
As you know, I wrote ad nauseum about the 1932 eclipse. But even after writing and over the years interviewing people about that eclipse, I don't think I understood the full scope of it until, like, I remember picking up my eclipse glasses and looking through them thinking, I can't see anything. I'm not going to see, how am I going to see the eclipse through that? But then it wasn't until the day of the eclipse that I actually looked at the sun and said, this is cool. And then you could actually watch the shadow or whatever just go over the sun. And I know some people actually travel the world to watch these eclipses, and more power to them. But it was a great experience, but I don't know if it would mean so much if it wasn't in my home turf. I just thought it was so cool that, it was here. And, I think I figured out the next one. I'm going to be 114 years old the next time the Northeast Kingdom has a total eclipse. So I will be reporting, I'll be interviewing you about that eclipse. So you'll probably be still writing for the Caledonia Record at that time. I think you have a few years on me, so you're going to be a little bit older. But okay, so it's amazing. We have less than 10 minutes left. So what is going to happen to what's going to happen to you now? You've mentioned doing some writing for the Caledonia Record, me. But you've lived you've lived a fairly high profile life, particularly in Caledonia County. I think you're highly respected. But what now? Are you slowing down at all?
Actually, no. I will say that my pulse and my blood pressure went down the week after I left the chamber. But I'm going to take a part-time job. One of our chamber members, our past presidents, asked me to do a job when he found out I was going to be retiring, and it's one of those leave it at the door kind of jobs. So no stress there. I'm going to be writing. I'm going to be taking some time to visit people across the U.S., friends and family. But yeah, I'm not going to be sitting on the couch watching Hallmark all the time. I'm going to be doing a lot. But, and frankly, I've had some health concerns. I broke my ankle a couple of years ago, and I've had surgery, and it's taken a couple of years, as often as it does, to come back and have it be working. So I'm really looking forward to walking and getting out and hiking more. So, I'll be on the highways and byways and the trails of the kingdom and remain busy.
And you and I, we've been slapped upside the head with a reality, a reality adjuster that life is not, you never know when life is going to change. We've both lost our spouses to cancer. And, so no matter what comes your way, you've got to enjoy life, because, life is fragile, and, you just never know when this journey is going to end.
No, in fact, I keep this. I have a roll top desk. I'm a real roll top desk person. Not to mention, I love fountain pens. Anybody who knows me loves fountain pens. But I've always got, the picture of my husband up his card there, and not to mention my coworker, Jen.
Yep. Yep.
Who we lost when she was only 42 years old. And you're right, we're not promised tomorrow, and you can't take things for granted. And that was one of the reasons I decided I wanted to retire, just when I could, because, I'm in good health. I still got my wits about me, and I haven't. I've been working real hard, doing 2 jobs for the last, for the better part of 4 years since Jen died, and not many vacations. So I just really want to embrace and enjoy life a little bit.
Hey, before the show ends, I'm going to give Todd a photo to put on the screen, and you probably recall this event is one with back when I served in the legislature in 2009, and there you are with Lola Aiken, and if you follow and if you have her genetics, you're going to live to. I think she lived to be 101, and her late husband, Senator George Aiken, helped popularize the phrase Northeast Kingdom, and then in the photo is also Gloria Bruce, who is the former executive director of Northeast Kingdom Travel and Tourism. And the other fella in there is Todd Peranto, the producer of this show back when he was the executive director of the Newport, was North Country Chamber of Commerce.
North Country Chamber.
But you notice none of us has changed a bit.
Haircuts have changed.
Oh yeah,
Lola. Oh my God, was she a ticket? Oh my God,
she was.
Wow.
She was.
I want to be her when I grow up. That woman was unbelievable. I stayed overnight at her house this one time, and she was embraced by every single person. You talk about a public figure. Everybody knew her in Montpelier. She would go into a legislative room or something, and everybody would come over. She was like a superstar, and she was an absolute riot. So yeah, she was amazing.
She told me, like, she was funny because she says by the time Senator Aiken, her late husband, died, he wasn't quite as sharp as he once was, and she said she used to always have to whisper in his ear, and but she could say things the darndest way. She could make anything sound so funny, and she was yet at the same time she was gracious, and she was absolutely one of my most endearing people I have ever met.
I agree with you. She was an unbelievable human being, and I was happy to know her and call her a friend.
Do you think we've talked about the State House and how you came down here? At that event, we were recognizing the 70th anniversary of the naming of the kingdom, but you graced the hallways of the legislature, the State House, quite a number of times. Hey, have you ever thought about running for office?
Boy, that would go against my general character. I've had to be governmentally, legislatively neutral for so long as a journalist, and being at the chamber, that I wouldn't know what to do. But I've had a whole bunch of people ask me about that, but honestly, I always thought I could do more being on the other end of trying to affect change without. I don't know how you legislators do it, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, you know what is
oh my goodness!
Right, I only lasted 4 years, and I said, okay, this is enough of this. Let's do something productive with my time. So
there's so much back and forth that I'd probably go crazy. trying to, either it's the lack of compromise or the over compromising. There seems to be no balance in the middle. But yeah, these are tough times to be legislators, and thank goodness for them, because we hold legislative breakfasts for many years, and they do great work.
Okay, well, we have to wrap up the show. I hope it's not the last time that I have you on. Hopefully you morph into a new role, or maybe who knows, maybe next time you'll be reporting from a tropical paradise somewhere. Except I bet you, if you were in a tropical paradise, you wouldn't be up at 3:00 in the morning doing a Zoom interview across the world. You'd probably be enjoying yourself, or at least enjoying bed.
Well, I can tell you, with this Irish skin, I sunburn really, really easily. So I probably would visit north.
Oh, you ought to see the skin over here. I'm so envious. I'm like this ghost walking around. And,
well, I even think of the sun, and I sunburn. I've literally had second degree burns before, for just being out for, an hour without sunblock that you forget. So, me spending any time in Fiji or something, I would get roasted. I'd be a lobster.
Okay, I want to thank you for not only your years of service, but also for being a friend over the years, especially at the loss of my wife. You've always been there for your. I think that's the one thing people don't understand is it seems to me this has been more than a job for you. This has been kind of your, in a sense, it's been who you are, and I think it was probably a perfect fit. And but thank you for everything you've done for the chamber, for the region,
You
and for
too. You're making me tear up here. Yeah, it never was just a job. It really, I think, in some ways, is more of a calling. That it really meant the world to me to represent my region.
Okay, well, thank you for coming on, and I'm sure our paths will be crossing very soon.
Blessings to you both, and to the Philippines.
All right, thank you. And thank you for tuning in to another segment of the Northeast Kingdom Voice.